For our final selection tool, we're going to use the most advanced tool in Photoshop, and that's called Select and Mask. Now, oftentimes, if you're working for a magazine or an advertising agency, you're going to have models like this standing in front of some kind of solid color background, either a green screen or a paper backdrop, and we need to cut them out so that we can use them for a commercial or an advertisement. Now, this is a little bit tricky because you can see there's lots of organic shapes around the edges here, and there's tons of little detail in her hair that would be really hard to cut out if we were to use the lasso tool or the quick selection tool. So what we're going to use is Photoshop's advanced AI selection, and that pops up right here. It says select subject. So we're going to go ahead and click this button, and we're going to let Photoshop figure out where our subject is in the image. So it's working, and you can see, boom, it's actually got a really clean selection around the edge. If we look a little bit closely at the hair, though, you can see it missed some of these spots in between the strands. So what we're going to do now is switch from selecting it to actually cleaning this edge up a little bit. And that's where this tool right here comes in handy. Okay, this is your modify selection. When we click it, we're going to try to select and mask all of the little edges around. And as soon as I click that button, you can see that a new workspace kind of opens up. And this is where we can really fine tune it. First thing I want to do is right up here at the top in the view mode, you can see some different ways that you can look at what's been selected. So for example, if I do on layers, it'll show me that she's been cut out in the background. It is all transparent. If I do black and white, it lets me see her just as a silhouette on black. And that's really useful for seeing all these little pieces that maybe it missed in the hair. Okay. If you do the overlay option, it creates a red layer that shows you what's been selected. So I think for this, I'm actually do the black and white view. And we're going to come down here to some of these other settings and do some edge detection. Let's turn up the radius just a tiny bit and check this box, Smart Radius. As we do that, Photoshop's going to get a better idea of what we're trying to select. And you can see it's picking up way more detail there in the hair than it did originally. Okay. We can also do things like smoothing and feathering. Feathering basically makes the edges kind of fuzzy and blurry, like that you see as I turn it up. If I turn it down, they get a lot sharper. And then finally, I'm going to come down to this bottom where it says output settings, and I want to cut her out from that background. So I'm going to do output to a new layer. Okay. When I hit OK, it's going to cut her out. And it's, as you can see, it's moved her up to a brand new layer above where we originally started. Okay, so now she's been removed from that image, and I can put a different color behind her here on the layer below. So let's come down. We're going to click an adjustment layer. Let's add a solid color. And let's pick any color from your spectrum. I'm just going to choose like a green here. Hit OK. And I'll move this color behind her. Okay. And then I also want to add some text behind her so we can make like a multi-layered image. So we're going to click on our text tool. And I'm just going to click anywhere on the screen. And I'll put, let's just keep it simple. I'll put fashion in here. Once you have your text selected, you can double click the T. That lets you change the font. So find a font in there that you think works well for the image. Let's see, I'll choose this one. And I'm going to make it a lot bigger. I'm going to go up to like 150%. I'm going to grab my move tool, and you can arrange text in Photoshop. You can transform it with Control T. We're going to grab a corner. We're going to pull this way up, and we can move it anywhere we want behind the model now to use for our design. Okay. Text can also, you can change its color if you double click the T. You can choose this little square of color here. Maybe I'll pick white, hit OK. And now I'm creating a layout kind of like what you would see for a magazine cover or an advertisement. All right, so I've got several layers over here on my layers palette. I think this one's ready to save out. I'm going to go to File, Export, Quick Export, and finally just put your name at the beginning of the file name and save it up. All right, you've completed the 4 intro projects for using selection tools. At this point, you want to add them to your learning journal, and you want to upload all 4 of your completed images to Google Classroom. All right, good luck.